I sent a tweet to the private chat. So in the comments, they're talking about apparently update here. Jackson Cantwell.
Yeah, the comments are on fire for Canwell.
Moved his commitment date back to May 13th. He's going to take an unofficial to Yuga as well. So now he's visiting Oregon this week.
Yuga?
Georgia?
Can we talk about that real quick, Mike?
I've never heard them called Yuga, but I think I like it.
Yeah, Yuga.
I've always heard people say UGA. I've never heard anyone say Yuga.
They use an extra syllable for no reason.
And wouldn't it be Uga?
No, you could have like a strong U.
I gotta be honest.
Isn't that what their mascot's name is?
Yeah, the mascot. Oh, Uga.
Yeah, so it would be Uga.
Uga. No,
but then he's taking a visit to a dog. What I'm saying is
Yuga.
I've never heard that before. I've just never heard that.
We're here to innovate. We're wordsmiths out here. So May 10th, unofficial visit to Yuga. Commitment date, May 13th. Says, sorry for the delays. Had to make sure I did it right the first time. Still decided between the same list. I mean, I don't know. I know I'll get the latest on this whole development. Here's what I can say for sure that I know of. I know Miami's been very confident on Canwell, and I have not seen a decrease in that confidence at all. I watched an interview maybe a couple days ago with Canwell, and
it was wild deal.
I watched an interview with Cantwell and the local beat writer who has a long relationship with from Springfield. I'll get his name. I'm sorry for not identifying the writer.
Honestly, we're all a little rattled after you got.
But
I'm gonna Google and see if this is a thing, though. You might be right.
Anyways, so Wyatt Wheeler. Wyatt Wheeler was the interview for what's the publication? The news leader out there in Springfield, Missouri. And
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT.
Basically, what he said was he didn't care about track, which is a big news to me. Hearing Canwell say, "Listen, this guy's the best young thrower in the country." He says, "I'm not making my decision based on track," and you could tell he's being genuine. And he wants to focus on offensive line development. Clearly, the best offensive line development school of those three is Miami. Georgia's offensive line was incredibly disappointing this year. Quite frankly, one of the worst in the SEC. Oregon, offensive line, I'd also say was a weakness there. The right tackle struggled all year. Connerly, very talented. He could go late first. He should be going top 10, kind of an underachiever. So in that respect, Miami is the best for the criteria he laid out in the interview. And the interviewer asked him, hey, Miami's the farthest of these schools. And the guy quickly corrected him and said, no, it's actually Oregon. So when you watch that interview, the impression you get he's going to Miami just based on the interview. I can tell you on the Miami side, extreme confidence, but he's moving back his date again. He said, I'm going to take a visit to Oregon first, moved it back. Now he's going to Georgia and moving it back. My read on this is I don't think Miami was in a hurry to have him commit in the first place. So I don't think Miami is telling him, don't do those visits. They know they have to get through them, but it's not like Miami's freaking out. And from the Canwell side, this is not your average kid. Probably being the number one player in the country. He's got 2 Olympic parents. He's visited a ton of schools. If you hear him talk, this guy had 33 ACT when he was like a freshman, very smart. So he's making the decision as intelligently as he can. So I don't read too much into it. If I hear something different, I will let everyone know. But based on what I know to date and just kind of what I've read and seen, this does not strike me as a major negative development.
D-Money is as plugged in as anybody is on this beat. And I know we're just a couple minutes removed from him calling UGA Yuga, but don't hold that against him. Now, I did ask ChatGPT. No one calls it Yuga. It's just UGA.
Well, what about Grok? Did you ask Grok?
Yeah, I didn't ask Grok. I'm not really on the Grok paywall thing.
What did it say?
You may want to check that one out there for me. But if you've encountered the term Yuga, it might be a misinterpretation or typographical error of UGA. There's just no evidence that suggests anyone makes it with a U sound, like a YU beforehand.
So they say an extra syllable.
They say UGA
every day.
Or dogs.
Yeah, UGA. So you say that
for the dogs
over the course of a lifetime. How much time did you waste that you could have been spending with your kids or with nature?
I mean,
pronouncing a third syllable that you don't need.
They could say Georgia, same amount of syllables as Yuga.
They could say Georgia,
which is what they also. It also volunteers that they say UGA, Georgia, dogs, but I mean,
Georgia
maybe
being a state, it's also the actual state.
Yeah, I know. I get.
Not the school.
I get why you would want to call them Yuga. It's just not something I've ever heard before.
EJ says, "Weren't we confident with JJ?" ?
Yeah,
I mean, for Thieves in the Night, yeah, we were. I think that the dynamic is a little bit different here. Miami's perceived to be in catbird. and holding other people at bay. The JJ thing was like, Miami was confident that it had a shot. And towards the tail end of that
On
pursuit,
signing day, Miami had a shot.
yeah, towards the tail end of that pursuit, Miami was feeling good because the very nature of having those conversations at the time that they were happening. But it wasn't, this is more prolonged. Miami had a very different, I mean, D-Money, you know those two pursuits better. I'd say Miami's position in this pursuit is way different than it was with JJ, where they always felt like they were chasing and they had a shot to flip them, but it was very much like a flip rather than a keep our guy.
Yeah, I think different processes, different people involved. But yeah, they were confident there. They were confident with David Stone. David Stone was going to pick Miami. His family had Miami.
EJ's not buying it.
And he picked Oklahoma, on the stand. And then he went to the portal and went back in. I mean, he was like Julia Roberts in that movie where she keeps running away from the
Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride. That's David Stone.
She was in that movie where she was a bride, but she kept running away. What was it called?
David Stone is Julia Roberts in that movie. So you never know with these kids. I think with Cantwell, I would implore anyone who's interested in this recruitment to watch the interview. It's posted on CanesInSight.com, 7 million posts and counting. And we posted the interview for free. You just watch it for free. And it was that to me told me a lot about the process. The guy talks like, I don't know, a politician. I mean, he's very, slick talking guy, smart. And he,
you're going to believe a slick talker, man.
He comes across genuine.
I think King slick talker. He loves those.